Mishpan Shinko Aush Deshpa Omenewan. Saludos y respetos to everyone stopping by. Thank you for stopping by. And you already know I'm here for all my brown brothers and sisters. Today we're going to talk about something really, really complex, diverse, and controversial. Today we're going to talk about the N-word. You already know, if you're whatever race you are, this has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with division. This has nothing to do with any of that. We're just here to educate ourselves, and we're here to talk about it in order to know a little bit more for those that don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean? So that's what the audience is for, to educate each other, to help each other. You know, am I racist? No. Do I believe there's racism? Yes. Do I believe there should be racism? No. I mean, we're all human, bro. It doesn't really matter what color you are. You should just be treated as an equal to everyone else, bro. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? But anyways, look. Unfortunately, there is words that only certain people should use, certain races, like the N-word. The N-word is very, very controversial. You already know the history of it. And the African American community has adopted the word. They use it a lot. N-word this, N-word that. And it's perfectly fine to them, or for them to use it. But now, can a Mexican use it? Can a white person use it? Can an Asian use it? Okay, that goes a little too far, so I'm just going to keep it simple. Can a Mexican use the N-word? Okay, this is going to be a question. Can a Mexican use the N-word? Is it okay for a Mexican to use the N-word? Okay, it's going to go like this, right? I'm going to give you a few examples. For example, if you grew up in a barrio, if you grew up in the community where there's only Mexicans, you're not going to hear anybody using the N-word because you just didn't grow up like that. If you grew up in Oxnard, you're going to grow up bumping corridos. You're going to grow up with a bunch of Mexican people. And other than the new generation, ain't nobody ever used the N-word. Now, if you grow up in a mixed community, like there is, and there's certain communities like that in California, I'm not going to mention any just out of respect, but there is. There is places where there's more African Americans than Mexicans. There is places where it's probably like a 50-50, and there's places where it's all mixed. You know what I mean? So if you're a Mexican and you grow up with African Americans, you're going to integrate in their community, and you're going to adopt the estilo, the swagger, whatever you want to call it. You're going to adopt it as your own because that's how you're growing up. You know what I mean? Now, if you grow up in a Mexican community, you're going to adopt the way you're growing up right there as well as your own. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I'm going to let it be known like this, bro. The older generations, due to gangs, due to racial segregation in the pintas, due to all that, they didn't like people using the N-word. They didn't like the little homies using the N-word. They didn't like Mexicans, period, using the N-word. However, this new generation that's coming up, they're growing up listening to a lot of black rap, a lot of black artists, and they're all using the N-word now. Matter of fact, this new generation is like a whole revolutionary generation because they're doing a bunch of stuff that is not the norm. However, we gotta sit back as a whole and contemplate on this, and we gotta ask each other, Is it okay for people to be using that? Is it okay to introduce this new swagger into the community? Is it gonna cause problems? Do the African Americans feel disrespected because you shouldn't be disrespecting another race? That's just not cool, bro. We all been oppressed. Mexicans, blacks. It should be unity between all of us. Even the white people, bro. We should be united as a whole, as one. Unfortunately, there is some type of segregation, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and talk about that. So, in certain parts of California, I'm gonna be straight up. In Northern California, bro, without getting into the gang politics and all that, in Northern California, Mexicans grow up with blacks, homie. Northern California has always identified with the black community. They've always been more integrated with them. As far as in Southern California, there's a lot of places where there's no blacks, and then there's places where there's a lot of blacks. Los Angeles County has places where there's no blacks whatsoever, from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't live in Los Angeles. But East Los Angeles, the people that I've met from there, it's all Mexicanized people. They like corridos. And pretty much grew up with nothing but Mexicans, you know what I mean? Now you got people from West LA and South Central, Compton, South LA, and they grew up with a lot of blacks, and they talk a little different. And I'm not saying every single person from those areas, but there's certain ones that talk a little different, and you gotta be understandive of that, you know what I mean? You gotta understand it, you gotta accept it, because that's how they grow up. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's how they grow up. So it would be kind of like naive to sit here and say that they're wrong for talking like that. If that's the way they grew up. If they've been living in that area ever since they were little kids and growing up with blacks, their neighbors are black, eating with them, sharing everything with them, maybe their best friend's black, then who am I, who are you to go tell them not to use the N-word? But now, it does become an issue when it leaves that little neighborhood and it travels somewhere else. That's when it becomes an issue. Especially with the social media, everything gets inflated. If one person does something, it affects everybody as a whole, and then everyone gets involved, and everybody starts net banging, and it just gets out of control. So, the question remains. Can Mexicans use the N-word? Is it okay for Mexicans to use the N-word? How does the black community, African Americans, feel about this? Because if they ain't tripping, I'm going to be straight up. If they ain't tripping on Mexicans using the N-word and Mexicans want to use the N-word, I'm all for it. If they ain't tripping. However, just listen to what I'm saying right now. I hear a lot of people complaining that the African Americans are trying to take over or make fun or abuse our culture, take advantage of our culture to make money. Like rappers came out with certain songs that a lot of Mexicans didn't like. So I'm not in no side. I'm right here trying to be neutral. Okay? You don't want Mexicans to use the N-word? Don't use our culture. Okay, now Mexicans. You don't want blacks to use our culture? Then you're going to have to stop all the Mexicans from using the N-word. So now it's way above your head. Now it's out of control. I don't think it could be stopped no more. But the question remains. Is it okay for Mexicans to use the N-word? Are we evolved to the point where it's not going to be a problem? If Mexicans want to use the N-word and the African Americans are going to be okay with it, nobody should be speaking against it. However, the African Americans want to talk about carne asada or go loco or whatnot, using our culture, dressing like mariachis. That's when it becomes a problem. It's both ways. It goes both ways. And I personally just think that it's a revolution with the culturas, and they're just integrating, evolving, coming together. That's what I think. But people always get it out of context, blow it out of proportion, and we're here to ask you guys, is it okay for Mexicans to use the N-word? Let me know in the comment sections, and I'm going to let you guys know straight up. I don't want to hear no racism, none of that. Anybody using any derogatory terms towards one another, towards any other race, or getting out of pocket, I'm just going to block you. I'm not saying you want to be here, but I'm just going to block you, and that's just what's going to happen. So with that being said, Wally yo Wally, Ashante, good night.